I was really shocked to see that actually loads of people were like, gosh, this is amazing. Like, I can't find this stuff in the shops. I really love what you're making.
Once you knew what your niche was and you were really confident with your niche, it made a difference for you.
Imposter syndrome is real. It is completely real. I wouldn't talk to my friends the way I talk to myself. We're awful to ourselves. Don't be too hard on yourself when you do have days that you consider to be a failure. Take a risk every now and then. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Just keep going.
As your business evolves, your business develops a tone of voice. It develops its own persona.
Got to decide, do I sack in my job and become a full-time creative, or do I continue with that?
Welcome back to the Motivated Creative Podcast. We have our first ever guest. It's Sam herself here with us today, and I've been working with Sam for a couple of years now. I've been watching her grow her Rock and Rose Jewellery company, and it is lovely and amazing, and I love her. She's fantastic. So we're going to be chatting to you today all about starting handmade businesses and that first sort of drama of figuring everything out, trying to know what to do. They're hard to start, but they are incredibly rewarding. And both me and Sam, we have spoken in the past, haven't we, Sam, about how difficult it can be, but how much we love it and how much we're still doing it. So, firstly, Sam, tell us a little bit about Rock and Rose.
Oh, okay. Brace yourselves. Yeah. Hi. Rock and Rose Jewellery is basically a brand that was created just after lockdown with your obvious assistance. I think it was in fact you that even came up with the name that stuck. It was the minute you said it, I was like, yes, that's the name for me.
We did it together.
Exactly. I make delicate jewellery with an edge is the best way to describe it. So it's some gothic-y, it's alternative, but also sort of sits in that little Venn diagram of mainstream and gothic. It kind of, I like to think, sits in the middle there, like little skulls and pumpkins. I'm sort of sporting my pumpkin earrings today, and that kind of, you know, a little bit of an edge to it. So not something that you'd find necessarily in a chain store, but something that you would find at a goth market or alternative market, which is the sort of things I do. I mainly use copper and silver because I'm absolutely obsessed with copper. But I'm also now working with rose gold as well. And I sort of come to an interesting point in my journey where I'm sort of moving towards slightly more precious metals. And it's getting a little bit scary, not gonna lie, because the prices have gone through the roof.
Yeah, and it is that you don't, even with you doing it for however many years you doing it now, there's always scary parts. I mean, I still find scary parts. It's
yes,
just
100%.
That evolution. But what was it right at the beginning, before Rock and Rose was Rock and Rose, when you were trying to figure out what was it that inspired you to start up your handmade business?
So it was mainly because I couldn't find the jewelry I wanted in the shops. I was constantly buying jewelry and then customizing it and making it more alternative, or just, you know, maybe adding a skull bead to something that was nice, just make it a little bit edgier, just because that was the sort of thing I liked to wear. I've always been fascinated with things like memento mori and sort of the darker side of life. I feel like I have quite a dark sense of humor as well. But I've always liked that kind of jewelry, that edgy rock jewelry, and I just couldn't find what I wanted in the mainstream shops, or when I did, it was just massive and chunky and a bit too much for me. So I decided to start making my own, and then I thought, well, actually, I'm going to learn a few techniques. So I decided to use the old internet, and I went on, you know, YouTube and all manner of other platforms are available. And just did some videos and learned how to make beaded jewelry, macrame jewelry, wire wrap stuff, all this kind of stuff, thing that you can do sitting in front of your telly. So I learned how to do that. And then I thought, you know what? A lot of people are now commenting on my jewelry and saying, oh, that's nice. Did you make that? Wow, that's really good. You should sell it. And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I will. So this was back in, I'd say like 2018, 2019. I was working full time. I had no ambitions to be a full time jeweler. That's not what I thought. I thought, you know what, a bit of a side hustle. I'm going to go try market and see how it lands. And I was really shocked to see that actually loads of people were like, gosh, yeah, this is amazing. Like, I can't find this stuff in the shops. I really love what you're making. I was like, wow, okay. So it's not just me then. It's not, I'm not bonkers. People do want something slightly different. So did a craft fair. That was like the summer of 2019. I was raring to go. And then obviously this January 2020 came and it was like, yeah, COVID's coming and, everything started to get a bit. So I went to a market in the February and there were a lot of people going, oh, we're not sure what's going to happen. And then as we all know, we know what happened. We won't talk about it. But so, yeah, that happened. And I was not immediately, but eventually I was put on furlough, as was quite a lot of the nation. And I thought, what am I going to do with my spare time? I know. I'll develop my business because now I've got the time to do it. And this is kind of like a little bit of a trial run to see if I can maybe work for myself, maybe start my own handmade jewellery business. And I actually, Ed asked me last night, he's like, how do you know, Nikki? And I went, do you know what? I've literally got no idea. I can't remember how we met. And I think it was somewhere on Facebook. I think you were advertising business courses. And I was like, sign me up. So I went along and we just hit it off. And you helped me through a lot of kind of periods of self-doubt. And when I was literally struggling with overwhelm, because like to go from zero to full-time business running, making enough money to support yourself was like, what? That is unbelievably unachievable. But actually you helped me do the sort of chunk it down process and, don't try and do everything all at once. And I know you want to be perfect, but sometimes perfect is the enemy of good and all these sort of things that you learn over the years. So yeah, and I started doing that. And then I decided once we got released from lockdown, I'm going to go and learn how to do this in metal because I want to make, and I'm going to say, use get air quotes, proper jewelry. And by that, I mean fine jewelry as opposed to beaded jewelry. So that I knew that would bring more money in ultimately. Learned how to do that. And the rest has kind of rolled on from there. I've just kind of started doing markets. I've got a website. I got a grant during lockdown, which was amazing, which meant that I could buy loads of tools for my workshop. I could do more training. I've just done a diploma. I'm doing workshops. It's basically, how many years later? Rock and Rose is 3 years old now. So I guess that's 4 years in total of me doing this. It's starting to feel like an actual business and I can see a sort of potential return on my money as opposed to it being a very expensive hobby.
And what you said there is exactly what a lot of people, the situation people find themselves in. They sort of start making something because they can't find what they want. And then someone goes, oh, maybe you should turn this into a business. And there's this tiny bit of you that's like, oh my God, can you imagine selling this? Let's see what happens. And you have this, you don't sort of plan to be an entrepreneur. You don't plan to go into it, especially a lot of the people I speak to in the handmade arena. That was never the plan. That was never the goal. You just start making something and someone puts this little seed into your mind of, oh, maybe I can do this. And then before you know it, you're smack bam in the middle of a business. You've got no flipping idea what you're doing. You've got to a point where you don't know whether to cry, scream, or both at the same time. And you just, most of the time both. and you sort of out in the world trying to establish who you are, what that means, what the business is, trying to learn all the things. I've loved following your journey. I absolutely have loved following your journey.
You have stalked me. It's kind of weird, not to lie. Like, she's there again, staring over my shoulder. What is she doing?
I'm waiting for the restraining order to come through. I really am.
I tried to file several and they just won't listen. Like, yes, but she's stalking me. Yeah, but she's really good for you.
It's been amazing watching your journey. And I think what's been the most amazing thing is watching your level of confidence. Because when we first started speaking, and it was through Facebook, and it was just me sort of putting out there, hey, I've got loads of experience, anyone want to learn from me? And was giving like, hey, here you go. I know a bit of shit. Do you want to come and have a look at what I know? Like, it was like, and you were you literally jumped in. You were like full in, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. You need to help me. And you took on everything, and your confidence was amazing. But it wasn't, if people look at you now, if they knew you back then, it was a rocky journey. There was tears, there was tantrums, there was a lot of swearing.
A lot of swearing, a lot of screaming, a lot of swearing, a lot of stamping of feet, a lot like little toddler moments where it was like, it's not fair. Whoa. No, totally. I feel like, and you saying that now about how you feel like my confidence has grown, I feel like I have to be told that for me to go, oh, really? Yeah, actually, now you think about it, what I was like back then, I do feel more confident now. I do. I'm not going to lie, that it comes in fits and starts. There are days where I'm like, I can't do this anymore, and I'm not a jeweler, and I'm not a business-minded person. I don't know what I'm doing, and what on earth? Let's just pack it all in and go back to full-time work and never talk of jewelry ever again. Sell everything. And then there are days I'm like, I'm going to take over the world, and Rock and Rose is going to be a brand that everyone talks about. And then I think, actually, I don't really want either of those two things. I want somewhere in the middle, because I'm not an entrepreneur. That's not what I want. I don't want to be Richard Branson. I don't want to have a brand name that everyone talks about. It fills me with joy when I meet people at my markets and they go, I've got some of your stuff already, or I follow you on Instagram. That's the one that always gets me a warm fuzzy, because I'm like, oh my God, you found me without me saying to you, ooh, I'm here. They've actually found me digitally saying, oh, I'm here. And that to me is a miracle, especially with the algorithm as it is. It's like small businesses. Instagram doesn't care about you. And well, that's how we feel anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, I feel like I have to be told that my confidence has grown and that my business has grown, and that, you're bogged down on a day-to-day basis with all of this. I can't do this. Imposter syndrome is real. It is completely real. And I get told by people, oh, you need to stop. You need to stop feeling like that. And it's like, okay, I'll just turn it off. I'll just stop feeling like that.
It's impossible.
How can you tell people to stop feeling a certain way? You've been brought up believing that you're not. I was brought up believing I wasn't creative. I was brought up believing that I had to get a sensible job, I had to get a pension, I had to, all the sensible things, which I agree with are important. Money, pension, security is important. But also that was a thief of my joy in my childhood. And that meant that I then couldn't be creative, and I couldn't believe that I'd be good at it, because nobody encouraged it. Nobody said, why don't you give that a go? Just, yes, you might not be very good at drawing, but why don't you try doing something over here instead, like constructing something out of, say, metal? Never given that opportunity. So it feels really good in my 40s to be able to reinvent myself and say, no, I am creative. I just had the creative destroyed when I was younger, shall we say. So my confidence is that it was lacking, but now it's like I feel more prepared for things. But yeah, it does come in fits and starts. So, if you're feeling like that one day, I don't want to do this anymore, allow yourself to feel like that, because it will pass.
And yes, I mean, the amount of conversations I've had with people lately about being kind to yourself. And I think it's so important, especially if you're looking at pursuing a handmade business. Be kind to yourself. The days you don't want to do it, don't do it. The days that feel like a bit too much, find joy elsewhere. Go for a walk. Go, leave the house. Get out. Talk to someone. Read a book. Yeah. I read books. I'm that geek. Kindle's out. I'm out in the garden. I've locked the door. I'm staying there. That's about as joyful as I can get in those moments.
My guilty pleasure is, I have to say, programs about true crime. And I know I'm not alone in that. A lot of women are. I don't know where this has come from. It's only sort of been in the last 10 years or so. Everyone started watching programs about true crime. And I'll put anything on that. That or paranormal stuff. Obsessed with the paranormal. So I'll watch that. That for me, my happy place is to get on the sofa with a cup of tea and a bit of cake or biscuit or something, nice little sweet treat, and just watch a program about someone else's bad life. How they've got it worse than me. I don't feel quite so bad anymore.
I get that 100%. I do. Supernatural is my go-to series. I have watched it so many times. It is unreal, mainly because Dean's kind of cute. And then it's just kind of cute. But then like your CSIs and your Criminal Minds and all that sort of stuff, I love them. I absolutely love them. And it is sometimes when I'm not feeling creative, which, you know, especially different times of the year, I find it's very seasonal for me. So I love autumn. I'm really excited. I've already had my pumpkin spice latte for the year.
Absolutely.
I'm rolling forward with this. I'm rolling into it. But, you know, we've just had summer, and summer's great. I like the sun.
No, it's too hot.
I
don't like being hot and sweaty. I like being warm and cozy. And I swear to God, my blood type is PSL. It's not A, B, or O negative. It's PSL. That is my pump. That is absolutely my blood type.
I am so there with you. I was so excited. I got the email from. I'm just going to say it. Most people will judge me for this, but I am a Starbucks girly. And I got the email.
PSL season, otherwise we'll ask.
Well, I've had my favourite order, and I've had the same order since I was 14.
Nice.
And it only gets switched out when it's autumn and PSL comes out. And they got the email. It's the middle of summer. I got the email when I tell you it was run, don't walk moment. I was gone. I was out of this house. I was online trying to find who already had the syrup in, which one was the closest one that had it in.
My app, I got a notification going. Guess what, guys? You got the app? You can have a pumpkin spice latte in August now. I mean, it used to be around this weekend. It was always the bank holiday weekend. I was always excited about it because I knew that was autumn. And it was like the 8th or something, or the 7th, because it was the middle of August. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. And I've got pumpkin spice syrup I can have in my coffee at home, but it's just not.
It's not the same.
It's not. It doesn't. I don't know what they put in their coffee. It's not just the syrup. It could be crack for all I know. I don't. No.
Honestly, I would. If that ever came out in the paper, I would 100% believe it. I would 100% believe it.
I'd be off down to Starbucks going, I'll have a crack pumpkin spice latte, please, because I just don't care. That's all I want. That's all I want to order. That and a cozy sweater. That's all I want.
Yes, 100%. But doesn't it help? It so helps recharging you. Like when you've got these little guilty pleasures, and they don't have to be anything massive. They're just, I know if I've got a really busy creative day and I'm making loads of candles and everything's going on, if I go out first thing in the morning, grab myself a PSL, come back, I'm going to work harder on those candles for that hour where I've got my PSL, I've got my tunes on, I'm just rocking out in my own little world. I'm happy. I can create better. And starting a business, you have that drive because you're like, oh, this is new and it's fresh. And as things start getting complicated, and as you realize you don't know how to build a website, you're not really sure about how to market to people. How do I tell people that I sell shit? What's this pricing malarkey all about? As you start getting into those sections, it literally, you need something. You need something. You need something to keep you going. And if that's PSL and Murder, Death, Kill, that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Be honest with you. Yeah. Give me a true crime podcast and a pumpkin spice latte, and I will walk for hours. Literally hours. That's my exercise. Love that. I love it.
So if you were talking now to that person that I met 4 years ago, what would you say to her? What advice would you give about these ups and downs? Because it's been, as you said, it's been 4 years of discovering. We've had lockdown, we've had where none of us could earn any money because none of the markets were open, so we were all panicked and went online and had to figure out a whole new language of marketing online.
Market. Weird.
Which fun.
Don't work for me, but weird.
Yeah, I tried one.
And I tried a couple, and I never sell anything ever. I think because my items are fine jewellery and they're priced sort of between £50 and £100. Online markets are people who are selling wax melts and macrame bracelets that are at 10 quid because people want something they can pay for and pick up quickly. And that's fine. That's, if it works for you, it works for you, but it never worked for me. I just, yeah. Every time I keep getting my alternative friends like, oh, come and do our online market. I'm like, nah, I'm sorry. I put all this effort into making nice pictures and giving you a good deal on the pricing and paying you whatever it is to market the actual market online. And then I spend 2 hours on a Friday night sharing your pictures, sharing my pictures, and getting no sales. And it's just, I get nothing from it. Maybe a bit of marketing, which is something that I've learned over the years, is that when you do a market, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And that is just the way it is. And it's no point being like, oh, about it. I used to be. So when I did markets that were like 50 quid a pop, the makers markets, that kind of thing. I don't know what they are now because I stopped doing makers markets and similar sort of mainstream markets, shall we say. And I had a bad selling day. I would immediately get on my phone, find the next market and book it. Because I'd be like, I've got to make some money. I've got to make some money. I've got to make some money. This was a failure. I failed. And now I'm like, well, I haven't failed. I've just spent X amount of money, the stall fee, marketing my product to people who are interested in my product, which is why I then learned to go to markets that were alternative, rock, goth. Yeah. You find your tribe, as people say, and you market to them. And even then, if you have bad days. So I had a market yesterday and it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I had a good day, a couple £100 up. So, And I think, well, actually, now I look at, I could say, well, the store cost me this amount and the petrol cost me this amount. And I was like, well, we were going to Manchester anyway. When you kind of start bargaining with yourself and you start doing that, actually, it really wasn't that much of a failure at all. In fact, it was a win because I was out there and I was meeting people and I met some really nice people and did sell some stuff and had loads of lovely comments. People take your cards, they get to know you. And you'll know this better than I do, but is it something like 7 points of contact before someone will actually make a sale?
It's closer to 11 now. Yeah, it's closer to 11 now, yeah.
They'll look at you, they'll see you on Instagram, then they'll get an email from you. Then they'll meet you at a market. Then they'll be talking to their friends. Then they'll get another email. And literally, you've got to do that so many times before somebody is ready to part with their cash. And the more, I wouldn't say high end, that sounds like I'm being really snobby, the more high end. The more expensive your items, the longer it's going to be for them to make that investment. Because no one's got any money at the moment. Everyone's skint, myself included. And we're all thinking, now, can I justify spending money on something that actually serves no real purpose in my life other than to look pretty and give me that little bit of a dopamine hit when I press buy, add to cart?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I have walked away from the cart a lot of times more now than I used to do because I think I can't justify that. So I don't begrudge people walking up to my market stall and going, I'm going to take a card. Not today, because I would do the same.
Yeah.
But that doesn't pay my bills.
Whether it's online or in person, it doesn't matter. The people are thinking the same thought process. It's sometimes if you are in person, you have the opportunity to persuade. But if the money's not there, the money's not there. And I think we panic so much. This is one of the reasons I've put it together. I will put the link in this podcast, but I've actually got an actual calculator that people can use for the markets so that they know which markets work for them and which markets don't. Because one of the things that we did with your business when you first started out is worked on your niche, and that made the difference. Once you knew what your niche was and you were really confident with your niche, and you then could go into markets that actually worked with your niche, it made a difference for you because then you were in front of the right people. It's like, I love your jewellery. I love it. Is it something I personally wear? No. But if everyone that I know that wears similar stuff, I'm like, speak to Sam. Sam's your girl. I'll tag you in stuff. So for me, it's not always the person that's going to wear the item that will see you.
Yes. Oh yeah, I get that a lot. Like, oh, such and such would love your jewelry. And I'm like, please take a card and give it to them. And I got that more at makers markets and similar, the mainstream markets, people going, oh, it's a little skull. Oh, I know someone who would love this. And they'd be like, well, tell your friends about me, please, and do point them on. And I was like, I'm missing that. I'm almost like, I didn't want that one removed. I wanted the actual person that was going to come. So that's why I started finding, like you say, you find your niche, you find the markets and the selling platforms that suit you. So Etsy doesn't work for me. Never has done. Didn't sell a bean on Etsy. Also, I'm seeing people complaining about prices on there. I don't really understand what it all is. And I just thought, you know what? I'm not getting involved in that. I'll have my own website. And that way, when people say to me, have you got a website? I think it looks like you're a bigger business than you actually are. Which is good because you're faking it till you make it. And B, it's all there. They're not distracted when they go on Etsy. They might look at you and then Etsy tries to sell them something else because Etsy wants to make a sale. It's not bothered about, and that's completely fair. It's a business, whatever. But you want them to stay with you and see the other things that you make rather than them going, oh, well, now I'm searching for this, such and such is making this much cheaper option. And then they're going to go with that person. So I think it is finding the right people to target is hard, but once you've realized what that target is, you can aim at it a lot more.
100%. And finding the right markets has given you not just sales, which brilliant, but feedback. You get to know your customer better. You get to, because you're speaking to the buyers. You're not speaking to the buyers' friends. You're speaking to the buyers. So there's that. You get extra feedback. You can listen to people. You can hear what they're saying. You can see similar companies and see how they're doing stuff and, what their best sellers are and, how they're navigating the marketplace. And you get to learn a little bit more about the niche that you're working in, the people that are in that world, and you get to learn, I find, about the conversation that your business is having, because you've got your own tone of voice, you are your own person, and then as your business evolves, your business develops a tone of voice, it develops its own persona based around what you learn from your niche, from your customers, from the places that you go. And I've seen you do this so well. And it's one of the reasons why I asked you to come on the podcast, is because I've seen you do this so beautifully well. And like you said, your sort of journey through from wire jewellery, now you're going on to, gemstones, precious metals, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a big change. It's a big jump. But it hasn't been all at once. And it's been through step by step. How do you feel it's gone? Like, do you feel like it's been natural, or has this been something that you've wanted to do anyway, or has it just been a development?
I feel like it's something I've wanted to do, but it's happened naturally. That makes sense. So I look back and I think when I first came up with the idea of doing this sort of thing, having a handmade fine jewellery business, I thought to myself, part of me wanted it. I'm quite impatient. I wanted it all to happen overnight, and I wanted it with minimum effort. So don't we all? We want to be able to be a billionaire without lifting a finger because, great, that would be easy. But it wouldn't be rewarding. And I feel like it's taken the time it's taken because that's the time it needs to take. And I am also employed for 4 days a week. And part of that, I was employed full-time, and I'll probably end up going back to full-time as well, because you just make everything fit in around it. And I think I have spurts of energy where I think, so for example, about 6 months ago, I was still sort of bumbling along thinking, oh, well, it's a nice little business and I'm enjoying it and I enjoy the markets and it's a little side earner. But I'm not making a profit at the moment. But that was because I was doing my diploma. So sort of backtrack slightly, I have always have a word of the year, and this year is creative because I wanted to be more creative. I wanted to be less worried about the money and less worried about the hustle, and worry about or immerse myself more in the creative side of things. And I went back and I have sort of gone back to the beginning basically and done a silver diploma online, which I've now finished. I know I've passed. I don't know what my pass mark is, but I know I've passed. I've submitted all my pieces. So now I'm officially, I am a jeweler, and I have a certificate that says
wow.
qualified jeweler, which is for me what I needed psychologically to get rid of some of that imposter syndrome. Because now I can say, well, I know I can charge X amount of money for my time because I am actually a jeweler. So, like, if I was qualified as any other job, so let's for example, qualified, because I am a qualified archaeologist. I'm not going to be an archaeologist, but I could go and get a job as one because I have a qualification. I couldn't walk into a court of law and go, can I be a barrister, please? Because I don't have the qualification. I'm not a lawyer. But now I feel like I can command that A, respect, and B, money for that level of experience. So that was, and then I can't remember why my word of the year was prior to that. It's gone now, but next year it's going to be along the line of developing my business, which was why it was really good to get back in touch with you, because I will be doing a whole sort of year-long online course with the same people I did my diploma with, and it's free because I'm a life member with them anyway. And it focuses on a different aspect of your business every year. And it meant that now because I was a bit panicky towards the end of the diploma, I thought, oh no, now I've really got to be like, I've now got to start being sensible.
I've got to be an adult.
I've got to decide, do I sack in my job and become a full-time creative, or do I continue with that? And actually I thought, do you know what, I'm going to continue with my job because actually I really love what I do. It's not, I'm not doing my handmade jewellery because I want to get out of a horrible job that I hate doing and I'm working for the man and all that kind of stuff. I like getting a steady income, and I like the company I work for, and I like the people I work with. So I'm not desperate to leave that. But I also really like the idea of having my business. So at some point, something will have to shift. But you kind of go through that. It's taken the time it's taken, which is 4 years, because I've done it part-time, because I've occasionally taken my foot off the brake and off the pedal, put it on the brake, and thought, actually, that now doesn't feel like the right time to be doing this with my business. And I'm sure this is all coming back to me from when we've had conversations with you. It's like, why does everything have to be done now? Why can I not just, it'll always be there? And taking a break away from your business doesn't mean that everything you've done up to that point goes away and you have to start from the same point. It's still there. Everything you've learned, everything you've achieved is still there. And yeah, there might be a few things you have to go over again. Like, it's like if you come off Instagram for a while, you then have to build it back up again. But it's always going to be there, and that knowledge will be there, and that support and base will be there for when you go, actually, now I've got the time to focus on this. And that's why it's so important to have that self-care, because you are then resilient in your business practice. So,
absolutely, 100%. I mean, I've done it. I have not made candles now for just about a year.
Yeah, because when I last spoke to you, you had Peony and Pine had just started, and then it all just sort of went away, and you were doing something. I don't know what you were doing, because you were too busy stalking me, probably. That's what it was.
Absolutely. It's really hard to make candles when I'm sat in a bush outside your house.
Really hard. No, I can't let bush back, so I'm not surprised we didn't find you in there.
Well, this is it. You've cut the bush back. Now I've got to go back to making candles. But
no, I'm sorry about that.
Damn it. But it's been about a year, and for some reason I missed it. I knew I missed it. My heart missed it, but it just wasn't, the timing wasn't timing, and it just getting it together, it just wasn't working. Couldn't get it quite together. We've had an influx of people working from home. So we've got the boys working from home now, my husband working from home, so my workshop's now an office. And so it just that changes in a couple of weeks, but it was just all this sort of things going on. And then I was like, oh really, I was talking to someone and they'd like a few candles. I'll see what stock I've got and like maybe throw something together. And I'm making stuff and I'm like, I miss this. And then I got a phone call from someone and they're like, oh, are you doing wholesale? And I was like, not at the minute. And they're like, would you? Maybe. Yeah, and it's that. And then before I know it, because I'd started thinking about doing it again, I've now got people requesting. I've now got people asking. And then I realised how many people I didn't tell. Because a friend of mine, she's like, what's all this that you're sharing, this candle thing? And I was like, oh, it's my company. They're like, what? And these are people who know me that I didn't tell about it at all. And they're like, how did I not know that you do this? And how did I not know it was like, you've done this prop? This is not Granny doing a few wax melts and sitting at a school fete. This is like a thing. This is a proper thing. And I was like, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you realize, and it's those little things. It's great to have a break.
Yeah.
But it's also, you have to follow those dreams. You have to follow those desires. And I think you've done it well in the way that you've balanced it, because you've still been around. You've not sort of closed the business entirely. You're still on socials. You're still talking to people about it. You're still there. You're still doing events. But your focus hasn't been making money. Your focus has been developing your skills. And that has been beautiful to see, because you can tell it in like the new release stuff that you're doing and coming soon. And you're already starting to lay the groundwork for the pieces that you've not even made yet. You know, you're sort of setting it up for people. And I'm sat here, I'm on the edge of my seat, stalking you on TikTok again. I'm on the edge of my seat, I'm watching it, like, what's she going to release? Oh, it's about star signs. And I'm there. And I'm like, I'm a water sign, I'm a this sign. And literally, I'm like on the edge of my seat waiting to see, because I've loved everything you've done, but I'll be honest, I haven't bought from you because it's just something I just wouldn't wear.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
How dare you? Buy my jewelry. Rude.
I am. I was like, literally, like, you're releasing one. It's all about the signs. And I'm like, I could finally buy from Sam. Like, I've been so excited to spend my money with you. But the way you've done it is beautiful. That building the anticipation and just having it there. And no, you've been quieter than normal. I haven't been able to stalk you as much. I know this. But it's been amazing. And now you're sort of coming out of it, and you can tell because the frequency of your posting's increasing. Yeah. And you know what you're doing and what you're showing people is increasing, and it's building all this anticipation. And it's so amazing to see, because I've seen you have a tantrum because it's not been going your way, and a beautiful tantrum it was. But I've seen I do them well. I've seen the loads, and there are those days where we all sit there and go, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am. What's the bloody point? I've sold a fiver all month. There's nobody likes me. And you have this real sort of, and it's hard to get out of that. It's hard to get on the other side, but I've seen you have those moments and come out the other side on this lovely roller coaster we call entrepreneurism.
Exactly. And I feel like it's one of those, I don't realise. And so I've got a bit of a thing that I learned recently. So in my other job, we had a staff conference and we had a speaker, and let me remind me what her name was, Michelle Griffith Robinson. And she is an Olympic triple jumper from like the late 90s, early 2000s. And she was so inspiring. Like, she's doing public speaking now, and she absolutely should, because this woman is a legend, like no other. She came on stage, and she's a GP as well. So just full disclosure, I work with GPs. And she came on stage and she was talking to us all about sort of her journey and inspiration. And she said one of the things that she wanted to teach us was something called SPR, which is called stop, pause, reflect. So you basically, every time you're having moments where you've got full of self-doubt, because we all have them, you stop. You just stop thinking like that. Don't negative thoughts is fine, but actually let's just stop those 1 second and look back at how far you've come. Just pause the imposter syndrome, pause all the bad comments that you're giving yourself, because we are our own worst critics. I wouldn't talk to my friends the way I talk to myself. Well, no, maybe some of them, you know. But we're awful to ourselves. We say such horrible things. Like, you look in the mirror and you go, God, you're fat. And you wouldn't say that to your best friend. You just wouldn't. So you do that. You stop, pause, and reflect, and you basically look back at what you were doing a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 years ago, and look at how far you've come, and look at what you've achieved. Because I'm guilty of doing that so infrequently. And it isn't until, like I said to you, until you point out, oh, your confidence has come on so much. You've done this, you've done that. I'm like, yeah, actually, yeah. And sometimes you do need other people to point that out to you, but there's nothing to stop yourself having that SPR moment and just going, okay, hang on. So what was I doing a year ago? And like, I look at some of my jewelry and I think I couldn't have made that a year ago, or I was making it a year ago and it wasn't as good as it is now. I can see how my skills have developed just from this diploma alone. And I know that is only going to get better. So yeah, it is one of those, it's one of those where you just have to have a moment and have a word with yourself, and a calm, nice word with yourself, not a stop being such an idiot kind of word with yourself, but just wait a minute. If I was my best friend, what would my best friend say right now? She'd say, no, look at all of this stuff you've achieved, and be very proud of yourself because you've achieved it.
That's brilliant piece of advice. An absolute brilliant piece of advice. People should be doing it more often. I mean, I struggle with it as well. Imposter syndrome still after all these years. I've been helping small businesses and running my own small business now for nearly 14 years. And I still have days where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why anyone would listen to me. I don't know, why anyone should listen to me. I still have days. And you do have to stop yourself and go, you know what you're doing. Luckily, I have a husband that has the massive tolerance level. I can deal with all of my bullshit.
One of those.
He can deal with all of my bullshit and my tantrums and everything in between. But one of the things that I found really helped, and I've got myself in my phone, in my photos, I've actually got a little album, and it's my brag album. And I've screenshotted pictures of reviews that people have given me, of comments that people have put on Facebook when they've thanked me. I've got pictures in there back from when I was a virtual assistant and I got thank you gifts from my clients, and little cards that people have sent me, and I take pictures of them and I put them into this brag folder. And when I'm feeling like crap, and I know it's bad, when my husband goes, go to the gym. Just go. When Alex has started, he started getting my gym stuff out of the wardrobe.
He's like, get out of my face because you do in my head.
Yeah, literally, he's giving me all my gym clothes. Leave the house, go run on a treadmill, go drive someone else mad for half an hour, go. When it gets to that stage, I know it's bad. So I do go to the gym, and I sit in the gym. I say run on the treadmill. I don't run. But I walk at a pace.
Yes.
Sometimes on the treadmill. And
I look through
with my podcast. And I literally look through my brag folder as a way of reminding myself of all the things that I've done, because you do forget, because you're driven and you want to do more and you want to achieve more, and you want, you don't want to let anyone down. You don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let the business down. You've got all this pressure, and it's, you look at your husband who has had to carry boxes and drive you places and support you with all of this sort of stuff. You don't want to let him down. There's a lot of pressure.
Huge thanks. Just as a quick aside on that one, then my husband calls himself a crowdie, which is a craft roadie. So ever since I've been doing these markets, and I've, when you first start out, you kind of take everything in the kitchen sink. And there are days when you just take it all with you. And then the more you do, the more you think, well, I don't need to really take that to everyone. I've got different types of things I take to outdoor markets, I do to indoor markets, etc., etc. And he still calls himself my crowdie, and he still expects payment in cake or beer or something. When I come home, I usually buy him something. If there's food there, I'll get him something and bring it back. And he's to help me through all of this. I genuinely could not have done this without him. Well, I probably could have done, but it wouldn't have been as easy and as much fun to have that support, because we can all do it solo. I don't want everyone believing that we can't do things without someone helping us, but everyone has that someone in their life, even if it's just their voices in their head, like my voices, that say you could do this or you can't do this, and you just have to listen to the right one. but yeah, no, it is. Yeah, I couldn't have done it without him. He's just been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, wonderful man.
Oh, shout out to Ed. There we go.
Definitely.
He gets, he'll listen to this and he'll expect this shout out now, tell him how brilliant it is, and then you're gonna have to pop his head after he's finished listening to it.
I am,
so it doesn't get too big.
Like, all that, look at me. I mean, you're all right.
Oh my god, I love talking to you, and we don't get to talk as often as we used to.
No,
but I always find it's like we spoke yesterday. I love it. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. Before we go, I would like to ask you one tip. What is that one thing? There is someone listening to this right now who is having the down days, who doesn't know what the hell they're doing or why they're doing it. You know, they're just at the beginning of their journey. Someone said they should sell some stuff. So far, they've sold 2 items, and that was to anti-pop down the road.
Yeah, we've all done the sell to relatives. Yeah, we've been there. And don't get me wrong, my mother-in-law is probably the person who's bought the most things from me, but she's also been gifted them to other people. So she's not just, she's not just feeling sorry for me. She genuinely likes it. And she wears it herself as well. So
oh, good.
Yeah, no, I know, right? Not the slightly less gothic stuff I've made. Obviously, I make slightly less gothic stuff for her. So I don't have one piece of advice because, as you know me, I like to talk. So I've got a few things to add, but they basically will all come up. Obviously, the stop, pause, reflect thing is so important. Look back at how far you've come. But if you're just starting out on your journey, I guess that isn't going to be so useful. So I would say things like, just take it slowly, take each day as it comes. Don't be too hard on yourself when you do have days that you consider to be a failure, because they're not a failure. It's all a learning curve. There are days where it doesn't work out, and what you've done is learned that doesn't work. So you don't do it again. Saved you time in the long run. Be prepared to take some risks as well. There are some things that you think, oh, it's going to cost a lot of money, and is it worth it? So, for example, my diploma wasn't cheap. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the money I'm earning from my full-time job, I'm going to take some of that money and invest it in myself, because you have to invest. I know they'd say you have to spend money to make money. It is true. You don't have to spend a load of money. I'm not talking about spending 50 grand on something. But there is that element of you've got to feel like it's worth it. So take a risk every now and then. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. It literally is not the end of the world unless you're pressing the button. Don't do that. And the other thing I took from you, Nikki, was the overwhelm, how to deal with that, and the chunking things down. And you taught me the 5 post-it note rule. So this is, even if this helps outside of business, I find this quite useful. If you're really struggling with your anxiety or depression, as I do, and you wake up one morning and you think, I don't even know where to start. Like, I physically don't know where to start on the day, never mind the business or anything else. Write down one thing that you think, I'm going to achieve that. And if it literally is getting out of bed and having a shower, you've done it. And then you get to tick that post-it note. Done. You've achieved something. And then you can work that into your business as well. And you can say, right, what are the things I need to achieve today with my business, or this week, or this month? And plan it all out and just look at it and go, what can I do? What's an easy win? What's an easy one can I do? I know I can order that stock from the jewellery manufacturer. Done. Job done for the day. Go back to your true crime podcast. Sorted. It doesn't matter if it takes 3 months or 3 years. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Yep. I can't believe you're still doing the post-it notes. I'm so pleased for that. That's like bit of a tip that's still helping. I like it. It's got to have been gone forever since I've told you.
It's a long time. I got an A4 frame and I made a little sort of template that I could put the post-it notes on every day, and then I wrote on the post-it notes. And when I'm having overwhelmed days, I don't then tend to use the frame anymore, but I do have the little, what am I going to do today? What are the 3 things I need to achieve, or the 5 things I need to achieve in my other job as well. So it's helped me with the job that I do, the PAYE job. I use that concept. Lists
I'm
are
so happy.
too good.
I'm so pleased that helps you. It's been so amazing talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm right at the beginning of this podcast journey that we are on, and having no idea how it's going to work out. But we are going to help some people, and we're going to chat loads. It's been amazing. If you would like to know more about Sam or get your hands on some of her amazing jewellery, then find the details of this episode on our website. There's all the links to Sam's website, all of her socials on there, so you can get on and find her. The website is the artisanbusinesscompany.com/podcast. Nice and easy one. Next week, we are diving into mental health with our special guest, Morgan Gleave, as we continue to explore everything that's surrounding having our own business and everything handmade. You can find out more information on our website, the Artisan Business Company /podcast. And follow us on the gram as well. So that's Artisan Business Company. You won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining us, Sam. I'm pretty sure we'll be interviewing you again soon.
It'd be my pleasure. It'd be my pleasure.
Thank you very much. See you next week. Bye. The Motivated Creative podcast is brought to you today by the Artisan Business Company. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review and share it with your friends. Your support helps us reach and help more creative entrepreneurs just like you. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Artisan Business Company for updates and behind the scenes content. Until next time, keep creating and stay motivated.